Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Friday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, Governor Steve Bullock says when we begin to reopen our state, we want it to stay open.
I'm tired of this. Montanans are tired of this. I know as a parent, I'm tired of this.
Today, Bullock announces he's working on a phased reopening of Montana and plans to release a full plan next week. Now, those details in just a moment. But first, we have some breaking news tonight. COVID-19 has claimed its first victim here in Yellowstone County. The Yellowstone County Health Department confirms with Q2 that a man in his 50s died from coronavirus today. Well, Governor Bullock, mentioning at the top, said he is working on a phased reopening of Montana and answered questions from the media. Q2's Russ Riesinger has more on what the governor said.
Well, President Trump said yesterday that the governors will be able to call the shots when it comes to reopening their states. Governor Bullock addressed that today. He said the action we took early here in Montana has made a difference and that Montana will be able to open earlier than many other states. But he also said it is still going to be a slow process.
By next week, we'll have a deliberate plan for reopening, but that'll also include thoughtful planning in the event that we face any setbacks. It will be a phased reopening. Like the president said yesterday, this is going to be a process. There's several factors that we're taking into consideration. Some of those metrics President Trump laid out himself yesterday, and some of them are unique to Montana.
Bullock says the state must meet 3 benchmarks to begin the phased reopening. First, there must be a sustained reduction in COVID-19 cases for 14 days. Bullock thinks we will meet that. Also, hospitals must be able to treat all patients safely, and Montana must have the capacity to test all people with COVID-19 symptoms.
The president assured me that we'll get the test kits we need, and certainly sure hope that he delivers on that, and I'll be working my hardest to make sure of that. But we also know that in some respects that we've heard promises at times from Washington that haven't always completely materialized. And finally, we want to reopen it in a way to work with our businesses, our public health community, and Main Streets. We want to do it in a way so they will have thought through some of these challenges of what a new reopening might look like, and they'll be prepared.
Bullock says more federal help is on the way for hurting Montanans.
Montana will receive $1.25 billion to respond to the crisis and support governments and Montanans who need it most: small businesses, workers, tribal communities, nonprofits, state and local governments.
A task force is already looking at ways to best utilize that money. But as for the plan to reopen and when, we won't find out more about that until next week. Again, the governor making it clear that it is going to be a slow process. In Billings, I'm Russ Riesinger reporting for MTN News. Jeanelle, back.
All right, thanks so much, Russ. Now, we just told you at the top of the show that Yellowstone County lost its first victim to COVID-19 today, a local man in his 50s. His death brings our state total to 10. Also this afternoon, we learned that Cascade County lost its first patient, a woman over the age of 65. The number of confirmed cases here in Montana is 422 as of midnight last night. Now, the states around Montana have seen significant increases this week. Wyoming became the last state in the country to hit 300 confirmed cases. More than half have recovered. Idaho now has over 1,500 cases and 42 deaths. North Dakota reports 46 new cases today and passed Montana for the first time in total number of cases. And South Dakota saw a big increase this week with a virus outbreak at a pork processing plant. Well, Jay Cohn spoke with Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton shortly after the governor's press conference today, and here's his reaction.
We're getting closer to being ready to start opening. And I think we just heard the governor speak about some plans that he's going to issue next week that look like we'll have a start opening at the end of the current order. It's going to need to be phased. It's going to need to be careful. It's going to need to be safe. And we need to make sure we've got some backstops in place. But Montanans have been very good about complying with the stay-at-home directives for the most part. And we've seen the result, which is fewer cases.
You can hear more from John Felton tonight at 10 o'clock and the full interview this weekend on Sunday's Face the State. That's at 6:30 and 9:30 a.m. Well, the outlook for the rest of the school year remains a big question. The stay-at-home order includes all schools remaining closed, but that will need to be updated by next week. School District 2 Superintendent Greg Upham believes the district will continue with distance learning through the remaining of the school year, but administrators are also in discussions to plan what it would look like if school reopened for just a few weeks. Phase 1 guidelines from the president's task force encourage schools that are currently closed to remain closed the rest of the year. Now, protesters are planning to rally against the stay-at-home order and business closures at the state capitol in Helena this Sunday. The demonstration comes after similar protests in Michigan, Kentucky, and Ohio. Now, the state is not issuing Capitol event permits at this time, so the protesters are planning to walk around the Capitol on the sidewalk. Helena police met with organizers of the rally yesterday to discuss what they had planned and what is expected of protesters in regards to social distancing and safety. Police Chief Steve Hagan asked that anyone attending this rally be respectful of others and differing opinions.
Everybody involved is a little bit anxious and just show some respect. The only time we're going to be involved is if it becomes a dangerous situation or they're violating that social distancing. We'll go and give them the warning like we would with any other group of people.
Again, that's Sunday in Helena. Well, more relief is on its way for farmers. Within the last hour, President Donald Trump announced $19 billion of relief to help farmers cope with this pandemic. The package will include direct payments and mass purchases of produce, meat, and other products. Our Montana Ag Network's Lane Nordland is gathering more information right now on this breaking news, and we'll have an update right here at 10 o'clock. Well, Senator Steve Daines says it's been nice for a change to see government move at the speed of business, with more than $1.4 billion flowing into Montana businesses to help with COVID-19 impacts. Daines wants Congress to reach an agreement to provide another round of assistance now that the first round has run out of funds. New numbers from the Small Business Administration today show more than 13,400 loans have been approved for Montana businesses under the Paycheck Protection Program. The money will help with payroll and operational expenses for businesses affected by the pandemic. The program hasn't been without its share of problems, however, but Daines believes the money is getting where it needs to be.
I was pleased to see it stand up so quickly. We put a lot of pressure on Secretary Mnuchin and the team said, you got to get this out quickly. And yeah, there were a few rough spots, but we're working on those every day. I've literally been in contact with Secretary Mnuchin either by texting or by phone calls. Now the task at hand is we need to put some more dollars in that fund because it's working so well to help our small businesses, which in Montana, that's really the core of our economy is small businesses.
Now, Daines is hoping for a bipartisan solution in Congress to get another $250 billion for a second phase in this payment protection plan as soon as possible. Well, one of the summer's highest profile events now affected by the coronavirus. Relay for Life, the annual fundraising event for the American Cancer Society, will not have a public event at the West High Track. Organizers are trying to come up with an event for July 10th so the community can still recognize cancer survivors and support fundraising for a cancer cure. Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has also shut down a major celebration in Butte this summer. Today, the event organizer announced that the Montana Folk Festival is canceled. That free 3-day summer music festival is now rescheduled for July 9th through the 11th in 2021.
Skip to the tag.
Coming up ahead on tonight's 5:30 News, a quick trip to Germany without leaving your home. We'll show you where you can fill up your growler and savor a schnitzel. Plus, in sports, we catch up with the funny man in the can via Zoom.
And coming up in weather, that sunshine and warm temp sure felt good today, but up across the High Line, that's a new cold front dropping down from Canada. It's going to move all the way through into Montana and into the Billings area. We'll chat about it coming up in a few more minutes.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.